Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you guys doing? Hope you're doing well. I'll just wait a couple of, please do me a favor and start sharing with everybody that we are live on Instagram. Today's a really interesting subject. We're going to talk about relationships. Oh my God, relationships. And it should be good. So I hope you've shared it with at least 10 people as I asked you last time. Please do send a message up. WhatsApp people, let them know that this is on, because it helps me, it helps you, and it could help someone else, it could help change their life. So for those of you that are participating in the month of Ramadan, congratulations. I hope you guys you're going strong. It's a month of willpower and strength and discipline. So for those of you that are doing that, congratulations. For those of you that are hearing me for the very first time, welcome on board. People ask me, what am I? Am I a coach? Yeah, I'm a coach. Am I a life coach? Not really. Am I a peak performance coach? Not really. So, I think the best way to describe what I do and all the coaches that I work with and all the coaches that are associated is we're like mind hackers. We actually help hack your mind, and that's what I do for those of you that are new. And today I'm going to give you some some examples of how you can empower your relationships and find ways that you can build better connection, teamwork with your partner, if you have a partner. And if you don't have a partner and you're single right now, this is going to be very useful for you anyway, because if you ever do plan to get into a relationship, this is going to be important. Hi Neela, hope you're doing good. So we have people from all over the world, and as I think about it, I look back and I think to myself, of all the things that can have the most profound effect on you mentally and affect your success, your health, your life in general, I think overall the biggest factor to have either a powerful effect or a negative effect on you is your relationships. Your relationships. And you may find that as you get involved in a relationship, if you are already, you'll realize that the majority of people that are going through a bad relationship, it will affect practically every aspect of their life, like every aspect. And when you have a good relationship, and I'll define that in a minute, a good relationship, you will realize that your progression in what you do can help you go tenfold, 20-fold even, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. So when I look at the basis of a relationship, I realize that there's a few reasons why people get into relationships. So the most common, by the way, is proximity. Proximity means that you meet someone every day and you get used to them and you start liking them and then you fall in love. It's proximity. They become a part of your life and you start enjoying it. Another way that you fall is that you have an arranged marriage. Nothing wrong with that as well. Hello Mustafa. Hello Muhammad Saif. So arranged marriages are technically good and bad. Good in the sense that if they're not forced upon you, it's pretty good, because sometimes you find out the background of people and you get to know them. No issues. So how do you ensure that you get into a relationship, or if you are in one, we'll come to that in a second, so that you know that you can sustain it, that it gives you happiness? So the first question to ask myself is, if I'm getting into a relationship, the first question I'm going to ask is this person going to add value to my life? Simple. Or am I going to add value into this person's life? Now, if you're falling in love with someone, oh my God, it's so beautiful, it's so amazing, that's all good, but that's going to dissipate after a while. It's not going to be important. So what values you bring to someone's life, what value you bring into their life, it's going to have a profound effect. So the first step is that most people don't even know the reason why they're getting in a relationship. You can't simply get into a relationship because you like someone. It's dumb. Doesn't make sense. It's like, no, I'm recruiting a pilot to fly a plane because I like them, but they don't know how to fly. A bit dumb, right? So a lot of people, what they do, they'll get into a relationship and they'll have these expectations that come from media, from TV, running around trees, singing, dancing. I'm going to find my knight in shining armor. I'm going to find a woman that will do everything for me, la di la di la. And as a result of that, you have these preconceived notions about what your relationship is going to be like, and you have this imagination. And when it doesn't match those criteria, and then you start thinking, I've got a shit relationship. So here's a few clues to tell you what to look out for when you know that someone's in a bad relationship. So here's a few clues. Number one, and by the way, if this applies to you, don't panic. There are solutions, and we'll come back to that in a second. So anyone that goes on social media and posts pictures of them and their partner regularly and keeps complimenting their relationships, oh, this is my kuchi kuchi ku, you're such an amazing person, we're so happy we're together, I love you so much, and all that kind of stuff, public display of affection. If it's too much, I can promise you that relationship is a mess. It's really bad. I've seen people that are at war at home, and when you go on social media, you'll think that they're the best couples in the world. So you got other factors as well. For example, signs that your relationships are going bad. For example, if you're laying in bed and you're facing back to back and your back is to each other, that's a very bad sign. If there's a big gap between you two in the bed, that's a very bad sign. Now you're going to say, what are you talking about? It's because human beings by nature start drifting away from people in a relationship. If there's a lack of intimacy, I'm not talking about sexual sex, I'm talking about intimacy. If there's a lack of intimacy, connection, caring, loving, if that's not there, both physical and verbal, then you can see that there are signs of deterioration going to happen. So, and if they are, if your whole relationship is based upon you buying things for somebody, or if you love me, you'll buy me this ring. If you love me, you'll buy me this car, and all this kind of crap that people do nowadays, then signs that relationship will not last very long. So I'm going to try to make this a little easier. I'm going to divide it up into two sections so that both people who are not in a relationship and that people who are in a relationship can benefit. Now, who am I to tell you about this? I mean, who the hell am I? Now, the fact that I've worked with close to over 1 million people, the fact that I have literally saved hundreds of thousands of marriages and been responsible for thousands of breakups as well, which I'll come back to you as well. So I kind of understand human behavior. I know, if I look at my relationship is good. On the scale of 1 to 10, probably about 6.5, 7. That's pretty cool as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not 10 out of 10. It never is going to be. And it never will ever be that. So the point I'm making to you is that you've got to get to a understanding of what does relationship mean to you, and what is it your expectations are happening. For you to create good teamwork and rapport in your relationship, the definition of that relationship has to be crystal clear. So I'm going to speak to a couple of people in a minute, preferably someone who's in a relationship. If you're not, then I won't talk to you, and preferably someone who's not a coach of mine. That would be also very, very good. And I'm going to ask you some series of questions, and as I ask these questions, I want each one of you to answer those questions for you. So in the chat, for example, if you can, in the comments, I'd like you to just tell me whether you are in a relationship or not by typing R if you are in a relationship and NR if you are not. So just type in R if you are and NR if you're not. And while we do that, I'm going to pick on somebody. And please do give me a request if you have any. So we got some people coming in. Kandal Goenka says relationship. Sud says relationship. Shobna says relationship. Dani Haspani says no relationships. Sayed Azimuddin said nothing. Piece of peace said nah. No relationship. So we got to mix it here. Now, if you are one of those people right now that are going through a bit of a tough time in your relationship, and that you would like me to show you how you can empower it, make it stronger. Or if you're one of those people that have been in and out of relationships and it's been really hard for you to find someone, why don't you, send me a comment or put a request in to talk to me, and I will speak to you. That'll be good. It's one of my favorite subjects because it's so complex, yet it's so simple. So I'll give you a few ideas of what I think relationships should be. Number one, when I look at a relationship, it's like having two people coming together for producing an extraordinary life. So it's not about two people coming together to see what they can do for each other only. No, it's two people coming together to produce an extraordinary life. Now, if you decide to have children, for example, then it means that two people coming together to create an extraordinary environment for these children to grow up in, so that those kids become even better than they are. That's my brief understanding of a relationship. So if I'm getting into a relationship, I should love the person enough that they're going to want to add value to my life, and I add value to their life, so that we can produce an extraordinary environment. So I've spoken to many, many types of people, and I see relationships. Wherever there is a lot of conflict in the house, the effect of that on the family and the children is devastating. So you'll generally find that people that have single-parented families or have low income means generally have a lot more challenges than people that don't. Because the unity and the bond of the family is very, very important. In today's day and age, things are really getting crazy. Because you've got, in the West at least, you've got these gender issues going on. People getting confused or whether they are boy, girl, man, woman. Then you have the pronouns. And there's so much happening that I think over the next few years, the confusion that people will have is going to be absolutely beyond imagination. Like beyond imagination. I'm not going to go into that subject because it's not a subject for me to talk about today. But I am going to say to you that if you are planning to get into a relationship or you are in a relationship, you better damn well make sure that the foundation is strong. Because if you don't, the rest of your life, you are going to be absolutely screwed beyond imagination. You can lose $1 million. It is better that you lose $1 million than be in a bad relationship. It's better that you gain 800 kilos than be in a bad relationship. It's better that you are the kind of person that wants to contribute to someone's life and wants to make their life better, and you will demonstrate that your love through your character, not the way you look. So you've got people out there that are too busy trying to glam up all the time. Nothing wrong with it. But if you think, how do I look? What do I look? That's not even important. Because the only way that a great relationship will last is if you have character. You guys are falling in love with each person's character. So I meet people and I say, what was the first thing you loved about this person? Oh my God, she's so beautiful. What else? I love the way her eyes are. What else? I love the way she speaks. What else? I love the way she dresses up. Now notice, all of these things are external. And then you meet someone else and I say, what do you like about this person? And you say, oh my God, there's something in her. There's something about her that makes her really humble. There's something about her that's, she defines strength. She defines this amazing power. And if you notice the difference is that one is external and one is internal. People who fall in love with character will stay in love for the rest of their life. People who fall in love with external factors, money, looks, glam, I can bet you $1 million that the moment the money or someone changes the way they look, they put on weight, etc., the person will fall out of love with them in a second. And in today's day and age, we're in the Tinder world, right? You get Tinder and you look at the picture, say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. It is all external. That's why you find that the majority of marriages, in the United Kingdom, by the way, I read a stat yesterday that 46% of marriages are ending up in divorce now. 46%, that is insane. when I went to South Africa, I'm not even exaggerating, that almost every person I met was divorced. Like, it was like insane. I mean, it was like, it's normal to be divorced 2 or 3 times in South Africa. That's what I witnessed. And so when I look at this, I think to myself, then I meet other people who've been married for 30, 40 years and they're so much in love. And I'm trying to work it out. How does that happen? And the way it happens is that these people spend their time building each other's character up. That's what they do. They build character. So what they do is, for example, let's say, for example, that you have 6 characteristics about you. You're strong, you're powerful, you're loving, you're kind, you're harmonious. Right? Simple as that. And my job as your partner would be to do what? Would be to water all of those 6 characteristics about you that are most important to you. So if I look at myself, for example, and I say, okay, she wants strength, she wants love, she wants harmony, she wants joy, I have to create an environment where I can ensure that those 6 things are growing in my environment. Because if I don't do that, then what would happen is, give me 1 second, will you? Just 1 second. Can you guys keep it down a bit? Turn the TV off. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that if you look at those 6 things and you work it out from that perspective, you will see that the more you feed that, the more you feed those characters, the better your relationship's going to be. I can give you a prediction now, and of course God knows best, but I give you a prediction. If you're living in the country of India, for example, I can bet you over the next 10 years, the divorce rates will double and quadruple like you cannot even imagine. In the United Kingdom, it's happening. In the US, oh my God, if you're married for more than 5 years, it's a miracle. And as we start going further east, to the Far East, it's still relatively good. But it's getting worse because people are now falling in love or having relationships for a trade basis. I'll do this for you if you do this for me. I'll do this for you if you do this for me. And they may not say it, but it's unconsciously demanded. So I'll give you an example. You go up to someone. If I come to you today and I say, let's say you're my partner, and I say something to you today, and you get angry and you get wild about it, that has to mean that you believe that I would do something to damage you. It doesn't make sense. So if I'm in a relationship with someone and I say something to them and they go apeshit, does that really mean that they think that I would actually do something to make them feel like shit? And if that's the case, then there's no connection. There's a mismatch. It doesn't make sense. Now, I'm not saying that you should listen to what everyone says to you. I'm not even saying that. What I'm saying, though, is that if we were together and I'm telling you something, surely if I told you something, you would assume that this is my life partner, and therefore what they're saying to me cannot be an attack on me. It actually may be a idea, it may be a critique, or it may be a mistake. So for me to unleash at that person means that I've got a weak relationship. So what's my point? If you are consistently fighting in your house and arguing, consistently arguing, then your relationship is a needs-based relationship. It is not a character-based relationship. You don't trust each other. How dare you speak to me like this? Well, who the hell do you think you are? I mean, why does that conversation even happen? Why does that conversation even happen? The point I'm making is that there are needs relationships and there's character relationships. So when there's consistent arguments in the house, it now means that your needs are not being met, and as a result of that, there's fighting. So for example, I have my family, my brothers, sisters, for example. Like, I would never do anything in my life to cause damage to them. Ever. I just wouldn't do it. I couldn't even comprehend it. So if that's the case, if I said something and they reacted back to me, that must mean that they don't trust, or they think that I'm trying to destroy them or to attack them. It doesn't make sense. It's like me being on a cricket team or a football team and I'm telling my opponent, you know, you should have done this, and he starts yelling at me in front of the other team. I mean, it's insane. So let's start with the first one. What is your relationship based on? Is it needs? or character. So I'm going to look at some of the requests we've got. If you are married or you're in a relationship or you have been, I would like to talk to you. If you're a coach of mine, I'm not going to talk to you. Let's talk to Natasha Matter. Once I finish, kindly leave the call and come back because I can't get rid of you from here for some reason. So if Natasha is here, you can join. Let's have a look. If she's not, let me try someone else. Let's try this gentleman here. So, aha. Hello, who's this?
Hey, Afreen.
Hi, who's this?
This is Sahil Seth.
Sahil, where are you from?
I basically live in Mumbai itself.
And
So a
what do
big
you
fan
do?
of yours. I mean, like, I keep on seeing your videos and everything. So a huge respect for you.
I appreciate it, Sahil. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for coming on the live and giving me your time. I really appreciate it. So, Sahil, let me ask you a quick question. Are you married, in a relationship? What's the deal?
Well, I'm in a relationship, just to say that. I mean, like, yes, of course, not married yet, but soon. Let's see. Hope for the best.
Okay, so can I ask you some questions? Will you help answer them for me?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, so how did you meet your partner?
So it's a modern world through social media itself, and we quite did some online chatting and conversations, and it's been almost 6 months then. Then I started coming knowing each other, and then we came in a relationship. And it's almost
Okay,
2 years now.
okay. So how do you decide whether someone is the right person or not?
That depends on multiple factors, Afreen. Basically, it's not about only the nature. It's about the compatibility, the differences in your opinions, and how much compatible.
So what is
For example,
what is compatibility? That's a really broad term. What could be compatible? Ladies
compatibility.
and gentlemen, as I'm asking Sahil these questions, please answer these questions for yourself as well, so that you can be involved. So yeah, so what's compatibility?
So compatibility means the accurate opinions you have with each other, and the kind of choices you make, the kind of decisions you make, monetary, and
But how will you
some
how will you ever know that? Because
just by
your circumstances, your environment can make you change decisions like that.
definitely I agree. That depends on the situation to situation, and the kind of the circumstances that creates that changes from time to time. You're right.
So how would you know who's the right person?
Well,
Okay, let me let me
it's
change the
hard
question.
to say that, huh?
Let me change the question. Let me change the question. What did you like about the person that you are in a relation with? What's the first thing you liked about them?
So the first thing that comes in my mind when you come in a relation or like a person is that uh, how they be with you. Like for example, how they support you over things, how they be with any situations. I mean, like whether it's a tough situation, whether it's uh, any situation. So like how much they are within you.
Okay, so the person that you're with now, tell me 5 things you liked about that person when you first started speaking to them. Tell me 5 things.
Uh, the first thing is that the nature. Second is
What does
appearance,
nature mean?
definitely.
What does nature mean?
Well, nature that the kind of things she had got. I mean, she have learned, and she keeps on doing about her family, mixing up with friends, and how down to earth she is.
Okay,
Like,
so she's humble, she's friendly, she's
yes, yes,
caring, she's okay. What else? What else did you like? Her appearance, you said you like the way she looks. What else?
And definitely the opinions she has over different situations, and whether it's difficult, whether it's like, uh, easygoing. So all these things matters to come in a relation. I mean, like, maybe you can advise me more about things if I'm not going to that way.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're doing what everybody does, right? You're giving me answers that
Yeah,
everybody gives. I like the nature, I like the opinion, we should both match. But the fact of the matter is nature changes, opinions changes, appearances change. They always change. That's the way it
definitely.
is. And therefore, if you see someone today and you say, oh my God, I think she's so gorgeous because she's so slim, she could, after a year or two, put on 50 kilos. So that will
Hmm.
change your attraction. Or if you say she's a very
Definitely.
wise, let's say she's a very wise person, and God forbid her cat or her dog dies, she could go into a depression and start making choices that may not be healthy for her. So that's not in your control either. But there's certain things that are in your control. That there are things that will never change, no matter what circumstances. There are certain things that are so important that if you understand what I'm about to say, it will make your relationship the strongest relationship on the planet. And this is where most people fail. So I'm going to
Definitely.
explain. I'm going to explain this to you. So in my coaching program, I have a coaching program called the Incredible You Coach coaching program. My coaches, they spend a lot of time trying to understand something called baseline. And I'm going to explain to all of you what a baseline is. So listen up, a very, very important thing here. And you got to listen up here because it's crucially, crucially important. So there's something called baselines. Now, people say baselines are the same as values, but they're not, and I'll explain the difference in a second. So, for example, if I ask you, for example, Sahil, tell me what is the similarities between you, your mum, and your dad in character?
So, well, I won't say similarity. I mean, like, there are lots of things that match and sometimes doesn't match. For example, if I talk about my mother, she's humble, gonna take care of everybody. I mean, like, from relatives to friends and everyone. And talking about me, I don't have any time to take care of, like, every relative.
Okay,
Just for the few,
just stop there a second, right? Now
yeah,
check this out. You're gonna prove you're gonna prove my point in a big way. He said that his mother is humble, she takes care of people, she's socializing very well with all the people. I don't have the time. And what did he say
yeah,
about the woman that he likes? He said she's humble, she likes socializing with people, she likes taking care of people. So what you really liked about her were the common baselines of your mother. Now,
yes, of
what
course.
we
I think you're right.
because there's certain parts of your mother's personality that you find a must. It's not a should, it's a must. So for
Yeah,
example, I like humility. It's a really important thing for me. It's really important. If it's not in my environment, in my household, I will die. I like integrity, for example. It's very important for me as a person. If there's no integrity in my household, I will physically die. So that way, when you look at your relationship, the, I'm going to talk about the difference between values and baselines in a minute, but we all are brought
all
up
right.
with certain core values. Core values, for example, I will never steal money from anyone. Some other people can steal. I will not backstab people or talk behind their back. Some people do that. I'm a very fiercely loyal human being. Some people are not. They come, they use, they go. So based on these core values, I will obviously try to like people that have similar core values to me. But if they're similar, then if you think humility is important and you marry an egotistic cow, then you're going to be fighting for the rest of your life. But if you're going to, if you have humility as an important value, I'm not talking about baseline, value, and your partner has the same humility, then you have an enormous, amazing relationship because you guys won't even bring that arrogance into the environment. So now, what's the difference between values and baselines? Now, I
Afrin, I
came
would
from
like
a
to comment
sure,
here.
sure, sure.
Uh, Like, today's relationship I've seen, like, it's obviously I'm a guy and I've been into many relationships. So, at the starting, in the starting, everything turns good. I'm like, you guys like each other and everything seems okay. But later, everything turns up into the needs. I mean, like, the needs of,
Because you guys start off with the lies. You're behaving at your best that you cannot sustain. That's the problem.
yeah,
You're pressing each other, you're being nice, all the things that would irritate you, you kind of swallow in your mind as if, it doesn't matter. And the moment you get them in your life, the same things that you would be so tolerant of, you're not. So that's why I always tell people, if you operate from your baselines, you will never be a fake person. I'm not saying you're lying. See, when you like someone, you may want to impress them, right? So, and if you're an
definitely.
angry person, you can't show that anger straight away because they may run a mile. But the key is that
Yeah.
if you are an angry person, it is better to show the anger now. And if they stay, even though you have the anger, you've got the perfect person because you're not going to control it later. So all
I
the
think that
deception in the big,
no one
yeah,
gonna be in a relation
no, but they
because
will because
if you show anger.
you'll be very surprised. A lot of women, I'm giving example of women here. A lot of women like authoritative men. They do. A lot of women don't like authoritative men. Let's say you're with someone right now, and you want to be the king of your castle, just for the argument's sake, right? And you're
Yep.
marrying, you want to be in a relationship with a woman who wants to be the king of the queen of the relationship, and doesn't want, wants her independence and wants financial independence and this independence. You're never going to last. You're never going to last because
They're never gonna
you
last.
know because but you may like that person, so you may let go of your kingdom for a while and say, you know what, it's okay, she's so nice, I want to be with her. And the moment you get connected officially, you will want to be king again, and she'll say, oh my god, you've changed, you were not like that before you were so much like this. So the key thing is that you got to get your baseline. So what is the baseline? So with values, you can have 1,000,000 values, 1,000 values, 100 values. With baselines, there are 6 very important aspects of your character that you cannot live without. In my example, integrity, my number one baseline. So if I'm in a relationship with someone that hasn't got integrity, we will fight all the time. Or if I have a partner that attacks my integrity and keeps trying to remind me that I'm disingenuous, I will fight all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine for a moment, Sahil, and everybody on this call, that you knew your baselines and you knew your partner's baselines, and your function would be only one thing, that you would fuel your partner's baselines and your partner would fuel your baseline. Because no matter what happens, they'll never change. For the rest of your life, you will like a humble person. For the rest of your life, you will like someone who wants to take care of their family. Even if they're 400 kilos in weight or they have zero money in their pocket, the core baselines never change. So what people do now, in the olden days, back in the day, people used to arrange marriages, and they used to arrange marriages based upon the family's background and history. They never looked at what profession they had. They never looked at what they used to do. They used to say, what are the basic honors and principles of this family? And based on the
Mm-hmm.
honors and principles of the family, they used to match your honors and principles of your family, and they would say, aha, there's a match here of baselines. So the probability of you having a stronger relationship is 99% higher if they're based upon your baselines. And this is where the world is
So
changing now. Yeah.
what are the parameters of those, like, to get into that baseline? I mean, like, how you decide that
Okay,
thing?
that's a bit of a long question. That's something I won't be able to uh, answer that question today. But what I will tell you is I have a tool. It's called the baseline tool. And if there's
All
if
right.
you want to put your email address in the comment or something, I will get one of my coaches to contact you, whoever wants to contact you, and they can maybe take you through that exercise. Because the
Got
key
it.
factor is right now, Sahil, you don't know your baselines.
Yeah.
Now, if
Agreed.
you don't know them, how are you going to tell your partner how to take care of you? Your baselines are your energy center. They're the ones that keep you strong, powerful, in control. Now, imagine that I don't know your baselines, and without even realizing, I'm consistently attacking your baselines and making you feel like shit. And I don't even know I'm doing that. But if I knew that these were your baselines, I would never harm them, because I would say, you know what, Sahil's my friend, and these are the things. Now, if you look at your best friends in your life, your best friends, I guarantee you have very similar baselines. I guarantee you do, and that's why you never fight. That's why you're having a good laugh. You're having a great time. But what happens in relationships is that people end up coming in a relationship on the foundation of, oh my God, I'm in love. It's so beautiful, so gorgeous,
Yeah.
so this, so that. And that dissipates. You can have the most gorgeous looking partner, and after a period of time, if you are not in love with their character, you will not even mentally perform. You will not even be able to physically perform,
Physically performing.
because you're not in love with the character. There are some people that are intimate mentally and physically till the time they die, because they're in love with that person's personality. Does that make sense? I don't know if it's making sense to you or not. So when you
No,
tell me,
no, it's
so if let's take an example. Let's say I've got my armor. My armor is, in my case, integrity, family, loyalty, trust, courage. Let's say I've got these, right? And now the sun is shining, and I'm feeling great because I like the sun and it's shining. And then all of a sudden there's a hurricane and a tornado. It won't affect me because my baselines are strong. I'm protected by these. Now, how do I know I'm protected? Because my life partner and my family also have similar baselines. And now I've got triple armor, because I'm at the
yeah.
front, or my wife is at the front, or my family's at the front, and all of us have the same basic principles of our core baselines as each other. So now, when we're fighting with each other, we will never attack the character. We will never say, Sahil, you're a shit man. I'll say, Sahil, what you did was really bad. Not you. I won't say, Sahil, why do you always treat me like this? I'll say, Sahil,
Got it.
what you did this time was not was not good. I know you're a great guy, but why did you do this to me today? So there's an element of respect that starts appearing in a relationship when you are focusing on that person's baselines. And that's when it works. Otherwise, I can put it in writing for you. Based on what you're saying now, and I don't want to put you off in any way, your reason
No,
for
that's fine.
relationship is very weak. It's very weak. You know, she's understanding. I like her opinion. You get married, her opinions will change in a second, bro. Like in
In
a,
a second.
in a
Yeah.
nanosecond. You say something about her mother, you say something about her father, her opinion you will change in a nanosecond. But if you know her baselines, never
So
ever.
how to get that baseline? I mean, like, how to get it started?
You'll have to put your email address or something in the chat, or maybe contact, and I'll get someone to contact you and help you out with that. But that's that's a bit of a process. I'll give you an example. I have a list of 350 baselines, and through that, I have to help you select 6 in order through a process. Once you know that, then you go to your partner and say, look, these are my 6 fuel tanks. Please do not ever attack them, and we will be in love for the rest of our lives. I'm not exaggerating.
Got it. I think yeah, no, definitely it's fine. I mean, like, basically the tolerance and the toxicity that has in relation, like, everyone has in the relation. I think that, like, whatever you're saying through this baseline can get you a good
And
help.
look, let's be honest here, right? There's no way you're going to have a relationship where everything is always good. So we're not trying to create that. What we're trying to say is, when things go bad, they should not go bad for more than 2 minutes, and they should come back up. That's what I'm saying. Because shit is going to happen, tornadoes are going to come, problems are going to happen. But if I'm in love with the character, I will make resolution. They say we're like 2 souls in one body. People say that 2 souls connect. What they're really telling you is that the characters connect and they become one person. You're like 2 people, but you're pretty much one person because you're operating together in one flow. But nowadays, it's like, you know what? I don't need you. Screw you. I can go and find my own way. I don't need this. So the relationships are very, very, like, with all due respect, they're pathetic on the whole. Not all of them, but most of them. Because they're all driven by looks, by money, by careers, how much you earn, where you live. And that's important, by the way. I'm not saying it's not important. it's really important to be earning and to have, people say that, you should marry someone with money. I think you should marry someone with money, or someone at least on the
With
path of
money.
making money, or someone on the way.
Hmm.
So the point I'm making overall is that unless you work on the inner world in a relationship, you'll never have a teamwork. How would you have teamwork? If that makes sense to you, give me a thumbs up, Sahil.
Definitely, Afreen. Like I'm a fan of yours, and it's like I like all your programs that you have previously created, and specifically the auto-generated voice that you have. I mean, like the one when we call you, or like you don't select the program, you like the automated voice comes. Oh, come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
So I'm like I've been following you since long.
Oh, good,
So I
good.
know that's why I've joined. I mean, like give me the privilege to join. So that's fine. Definitely, I will consider this baseline. And on behalf of all the fans and everybody, I have one question from like for
Yeah,
you.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh, that how you came across for this baseline. I mean, depending on your relationship, like whether it's love marriage, your love marriage, or something, and
Yeah, so
like how did you discover that?
yeah, so I'll tell you about that. I I I my I haven't been in many relationships. No, I
Yeah.
haven't. Number one, I was brought up in an environment where bringing a boyfriend or sorry, bringing a girlfriend home was not allowed. I mean, no chance on earth I'm going to bring a
Yeah.
girl home and say to my dad, that ain't going to happen, right? Not in my household. So my parents have built an environment that was not strict. I won't say my parents were strict. They weren't, but the rules were very crystal clear. There were boundaries and they were clear, and no one could cross those boundaries. So when I got into a relationship, my first 2 years of my relationship were really, really good. They were superb, and the next few years were hell. It was the worst thing that ever happened, and I say this
Hmm.
openly because the first 2 years I was in love with my partner's looks and her the way she was. And after a couple of years, that dissipated. That didn't matter anymore to me. And then became the falling in love of the character. But by that time, there was a lot of animosity inside of me, very angry with my relationship. Not what I expected. So one day I remember, I've said this before, I think, and I'll say it anyway. I remember I was so angry with
Hmm.
her that I was writing my divorce papers to give to her on her birthday. And I said, you know what, I'm going to get the hell out of this. And as
All
I
right.
was writing there, my hands were shaking, and I was really kind of shaking. I was like, why am I shaking for? If I want to get out of this, why are my hands shaking? And then I decided that day that, you know what, I'm not gonna break this because my hands are shaking. There must be a reason. So that day I decided that I'm gonna give this a go and I'm gonna make this work. I'm married. I have to make this work. I'm a challenger. I don't give up easily. So then I decided, I
That's
looked
no doubt.
around me.
Yes.
Yeah. And I looked around me and I said to myself, what is wrong? And I said, what is it that I am doing that is wrong? That's the question I asked. And what is it that I can do to make this environment better? So I looked at my relationship as a garden. I said, what can I plant? And I started thinking to myself, what's important to me? Oh, I know integrity is important to me. She's always telling me at that time that you're not a good husband. And that would make me feel like shit because I'm good, man. I'm a good guy. So that would hurt. And
Definitely.
what she'll say to me, you know what?
That's
You
a
got no,
very hitting
you got,
point.
yeah. And then I would get another one like, you're not ambitious, you don't have the drive. And I'm thinking, what? Courage and determination is really important to me. These are my baselines. So as I started thinking about it, I realized that unconsciously she had discovered the torpedoes to attack me at places that were painful. And then I was doing exactly the same thing, but I didn't know. I was saying the same things to her that were meaningful to her. Like I would say to her, what are you doing with your life? You're such a talented girl. Why don't you do something? That implies that she's a waste, right? And in her mind, she's a star.
Yeah.
She's like, so I didn't realize I was back. So then I sat down and said, right, I've got to make this work. And to cut long story short, it took me over a year, by the way. It's not like an instant thing. It took me a year to put together my garden in such a way that, number one, if she does say something to me today, it doesn't affect me anymore because my baselines are very strong.
Very
And I'm very, very
strong.
careful now. Like, for example, in the last 15 years, I may have yelled in my house twice. That's it.
Okay.
And I like yelling, by the way.
Okay.
I yell in my office very often, but at home I don't, because my baselines will be violated. So I don't do that. So what I'm saying to you guys is that this is not just something I wrote down on a piece of paper. This is something that I've experienced myself. Now I know.
Experience, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not something I read in a book one day that, oh, get your baseline, because I'm not a big believer in this self-help, positive thinking bullshit movement, to be frankly honest. Nothing is better than there's no best experience than life experience, and lucky for me, I've been through a lot of challenges, and relationships has been one of them. And once I discovered that what my garden should look like, and I'm using the garden as a metaphor in terms of relationship. What does my garden look like? What do I want to plant here in 5 years' time? I want a bit of happiness. I want a bit of love. I want a bit of this. Can this woman help me build this garden? That's the question I'm asking. And then I asked the most important question in the world in my life. And some of you may not like this question, but I don't care. I asked the question, can this woman, or should this woman be the mother of my children? That's a bit of a deadly question, right? And I'm not saying I decide that, but I'm saying, would I like this character to be bringing up these children? And the answer did not come yes straight away. If it didn't, I would never have gotten married in my life, ever. Because what I'm actually saying to you is that I and my partner are building this garden. It's going to have new inhabitants. I have two now, twins. I have twins. It's going to have new inhabitants. These two new inhabitants, are these two people capable enough to make these two the greatest gardeners in the world? And if we're too busy fighting with each other and beating each other over the head and complaining and moaning about the garden and doing jack shit about it, then surely
similarly that will pass on.
Forget it. It won't pass on. It'll be even worse, because there'll be no love, no connection, no nothing. That's why you see that most people in relationships, number one, they don't even have a garden. So step number one is to decide what kind of garden you want. And number two, you should be able to talk to your partner. If they're not able to respond to you without attacking you, let me tell you something. If you're talking to someone, if you're not married yet and you're in a relationship, and you're in a relationship that every time you say something to someone, they launch at you, I'm telling you right now that you should dump them instantly. I'm saying dump them now. Because if you can't have this conversation, you are screwed. So you got to design the garden. What does the garden look like? So in the garden, what is it? Not the house you're going to buy, and that comes later. Let's talk about the underneath, the soil. The soil is where the roots are going to be. I want some integrity. I want some love. I want some joy. I want some passion. What am I going to plant? Can my partner help me with this? Can I do this? And if the answer is no, hey man, go build a new garden or disappear from each other. As simple as that. Because
definitely,
if you don't, so that's step one. Step two is to understand each other's baselines. You've got to do that. Otherwise, it's never going to work. And step three, make a plan for the external world. How much money are you going to make? Maybe one day I could do a topic on money in relationships. One of the biggest causes of hell in a relationship is how much money you're going to make, what kind of house you're going to have, what kind of job you're going to have, what kind of environment you're going to have. That's later. That's like way away. But let's get to the basics first. Let's understand. If you are already in a relationship, you've got a garden now. Now you guys have to have the ability to sit down and say, what can we do to fuel each other's character up? I want to fuel each other's character. Now, I want to make you feel good, man. Not by buying you a frigging diamond ring. I want to make you feel good because of the environment I'm in. Even if I have no money. Even if you look at metaphorically, Adam and Eve were the only people on earth, for example.
Only
they
people
didn't have
on
any cars and diamonds. What did they do? They seem to have got on pretty well to create this population. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So anyway,
apart from eating that apple.
We had a long conversation, and I appreciate you being really honest.
Definitely. Thank you, Afreen. I'll definitely want to get in touch for that. And on behalf of everyone watching this live, please do send the email in your comments so that you can know the baseline. And thank you so much for your time. And yeah.
Man, Sahil, you may have
Good.
to exit your call and come back because
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't
just doing that.
disconnect you. Good man.
I'm just doing
So
that. See you.
thank you. Really appreciate it. Great job, Sahil. Fantastic. So I mean, Sahil was great. I know I had a bit of a long conversation. And just tell me in the chat, was that useful? Did you get an understanding of what I'm trying to say? Was it something that made sense to you? And I'll give you a quick nutshell into what you need to do. Number one is you design your relationship garden. Number two, you discover your baselines. Number three, you find a partner that can actually help you with that garden. And if they can't help you, then don't be with that person. If you're already there, that's a different thing. Then now you got to design the garden yourself, and you got to start thinking about how you're going to do it. I'll also tell you one thing: if you have children in your house, if you have people living in your house, forget children. Even if you have children or people living in your house, you have no right whatsoever to be creating an environment of friction, anger, hostility in that environment. Because if you're going through some shit yourself, it is not your responsibility to give it to everyone else in the whole house. So if you've got an issue going on with your partner, go in your bedroom, deal with it, come back out, and don't bring the whole family into it. Don't go running off to your mother or to your mother-in-law or to whoever else you want to go to and start whinging and complaining. Don't go to their families and to their brothers and their sisters and complain about them. Step up, take ownership, and decide that whether you want to be in this place. And if you're in a shit relationship where you're getting physically beaten and you're getting beaten often enough, be wise, be smart, and get the hell out of there. Or, I can't tell you all because I'll probably get cancelled or something. Or, yeah, but what the hell? Or if it's a guy beating the shit out of you, go kick him between the legs as hard as you can, about 20 times a day, he'll soon shut up. So what you need to do is you need to be very crystal clear what kind of relationship you're going to have. You've got to be crystal clear about what you want to achieve. You've got to be crystal clear about what kind of happiness you're going to have. I caused a lot of breakups in my time as well. Not because I like causing breakups. Is if you got someone who's living a life of hell in an environment and it's like they're drowning, would you not want to save them? Would you not want to save them? So what do? I convince him to break up. And I'm not suggesting that as the first thing. I'm just saying to you that you find a way. Give it away. If someone is beating you up, someone's physically beating you up, you should either kick the crap out of them. Yes, I am saying that, right? Or you should get the hell out of there. And if you've got someone who's a whinger, not someone who beats you, cries, and says, "Oh, I'm sorry," and does it again, the worst. You should leave them immediately. And if you've got someone that's always running off to their family to make choices about your own relationship, then you need to get that person to sit them down and say, this is, no, see, I'm not saying you don't listen to your family, but at the end of the day, you make choices, you make decisions, and you take damn well ownership of it. Because if you don't do that, you're going to end up like most people, just having this lousy, pathetic, boring relationship. And you'll also find that if you are remaining younger as you are getting older, you can bet your last dollar that your relationships are good. Because when you have bad relationships, you will age very quickly. You will age faster than you can even imagine. You will age quicker than you can even dream. So what I'm saying to you is that just be smart. Like, for example, it's really amazing. It's a month of Ramadan right now, right? So I'm fasting. And in fasting, it also tells you to have a fast of your emotions. Don't get angry. Don't talk behind people's back. Keep your emotions cool. All that kind of stuff. So, it's like cleaning the environment and creating a garden. So if you are one of those people that are consistently whinging, moaning, complaining, shut that up and actually go and do something. Clean up your garden. Do something about it. Because if you don't do something, and if you're saying, "Oh, it's not me, it's her, it's not me, it's him," well, let me tell you something. It's both of you, and I suggest you both sit down and do something about it. Because if you don't, you're going to end up. Oh, trust me, I know one thing. If you don't fix it, it doesn't get better by itself. And I believe one thing, that either you get professional help, like a coach. Do not go to your in most cases. Do not go to family members because they'll be biased. They'll take your side. You could be the biggest idiot in the world. You could be the biggest idiot in the world, and your family will take your side. So that doesn't really help. So either you get unbiased people that don't give a shit what you think and what they think, and or the quicker way is clean up your garden, plant your baselines, fuel them up, and remember, we're all going to die one day. Pretty simple. So if you calculate it, even if you live 95 years, you work out the number of hours in a day, 95 years, 365 days, times 24 hours. We don't really have much of a time, and you don't want to spend 50% of that time fighting with people and being an idiot.
So my point is, don't be an idiot. Go do something about it. Take action and take care of your own garden. Do not expect someone else to pull out the roots for you. It's your job. If you're in a relationship and you're now bonded in a relationship, it is your responsibility and your partner's responsibility to clean up this. But if your partner doesn't do it, clean your own shit up at least. You know, make sure that you are strong enough that even if there's a hurricane and you could be with a toxic partner, like a very, very toxic partner, right? And yet you could still be happy if you have strong baselines and you're consistently cleaning up your garden. I know some of you will, it's very, very hard to get away from the toxic people because they may be living with you. You may even be married to them, or you may be your relatives. But you can discover your baselines and become very powerful. I hope this live has been good for you. Please do share it. Please do. Thank you, Jubair Rahman. I will, if I ever come to Bangladesh, I would love to come and see you. I've been there once, by the way, to a place called Dhaka many years ago. So yeah, hope this has been good. All you guys, remember one thing: if you go up to your partner today, give them a nice little hug, give them a nice little kiss, tell them I love you, and remember one thing: they're your life partner. So if you're going to start beating them across the head verbally, then what's the point? It's a negative statement, but we're all going to die. You might as well make it good. Seriously, you might as well make it good. Yes, I will be saving this live and I will be sharing it. So if you did like it, but I'm really angry with you guys though. You know, you should invite some more people. At least do me a favor and get 10 more people next week or the week after, whenever the next live's on. And share and support, and love you guys. See you soon. Be good, be happy, and just be happy. Take care.